crikey, or blimey.
Crikey. You know, blimey is like blind me, but it's just...
Really?
Yeah, my mum told me off for saying it once when I was younger because she was like, you don't say blimey.
Oh, blimey, Harry. Action. My name is Felipe Janela. I am Brazilian from São Paulo. I've lived in New York before, now I live in London, and here we are. I'm talking to you now.
Here we are, in Angel of all places.
In Angel of all places.
Not a bad place to live.
Not a bad place to live, not a bad place to be. It's a really nice neighborhood. I really like it here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
I was surprised that you have quite an American twang to your accent. I don't know if that's like, do you find it rude when people say that?
No, it's not rude. I think usually people are curious about it. I don't know exactly where it comes from. I lived in Brazil my whole life, basically. Yeah. But I do have family in the US. My cousins are American from Westchester, so right outside New York City.
Cool. I romanticize New York the way people romanticize London.
No, hey, I get it. I am a big New York fan. I consider myself a New Yorker at heart. Even though, you know, it's like they have this unspoken rule, or well, sometimes spoken rule that's like you gotta live in New York for 10 years or more for you to be considered a true New Yorker. I was there for 3 years, but I still consider myself kind of like a New Yorker.
Rather than a Brazilian.
I mean, I'm Brazilian, obviously, and have lived in São Paulo for most of my life, but it's also kind of weird because it was my formative years back there. But then, like, my early 20s, I spent most of it in the US and outside of Brazil. I feel like that's the time in your life when you really find yourself and you discover who you are and what you're looking for and, like, what you want to do. When I was in New York, I felt like I belonged there.
Okay.
Whereas in São Paulo, it was more like, yeah, I had my social circle, my friends that I knew and went to school with and went to college with and all that stuff. But just like considering what I wanted to do and just like my personality and the type of music that I was making, like all that stuff, I kind of knew that I had to get out either here or New York.
Because you're a musician.
Yeah, I'm a musician.
You did this, so I was like, you play guitar, I guess. You've got a couple of guitars.
I got a couple of guitars, yeah. I play guitar, I sing, I play a little bit of bass. Camden, I've played gigs there.
You've played gigs there?
Yeah, it's okay. I feel like it used to be like cooler back in the...
maybe it's because I used to be cooler. That's why I'm like, oh,
come on.
Now I'm like, Camden's cool, but it's past it now.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
It's a bit touristy now, I think.
It is, and I feel like if you're playing in Camden, there are a couple of nice places to play at, but I feel like it's mostly like a hardcore scene.
In terms of music, I was thinking hardcore, like people stabbing each other?
No, in terms of music, like more metal-y and hard rocky. I feel like I had that phase growing up, but there are a lot of other cool areas in London for that kind of stuff, just like music in general.
Where's your favorite area to kind of have that quiet time?
Angel's pretty great for that. I feel like there are a couple spots. There's the community garden if you keep walking that way. That's really nice. I like Camden Passage as well.
Camden Passage?
Yeah, it's called Camden Passage, but it's in Angel.
Does it lead to Camden, maybe?
It doesn't.
Oh, confusing.
I love Regent's Canal. It's just like, especially like now during spring and summer, because the weather is so nice.
Well, it's going to be apparently the rainiest summer in 2024.
God. Well, hey, as long as we get sunlight, that's
some of it. So unless we get daylight, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think of the British accent?
It's very interesting. Accents are interesting in general, I think. It's cool to see the differences between accents in terms of in Brazil or in the US or here. Like in the US, if you go to Texas, like it's gonna sound different than if you go to Boston or if you go to California or whatever. Same thing in Brazil. Like I'm from São Paulo, I speak in a very specific way.
Yeah, dialect-wise, I guess.
Yeah, it's just the way that we pronounce some letters in the words, it's different. Same thing, like if you go to, which is crazy because like if you go from São Paulo to Rio, the accent is completely different.
I've heard that the main difference is Portuguese from Portugal is very different to Brazilian Portuguese.
It is very different.
I guess within both of those countries, you'll have different dialects and different ways of speaking. Like you said, with London, there's so many different kinds of accents.
So many different, exactly.
And I don't even understand some of them. Like
no, it was funny moving here because I feel like sometimes I would understand what people were saying perfectly and sometimes I wouldn't. It really depends on where they're from, like with the type of accent that they have, even within London. Man, there was this situation where I went out with my flatmate, my friend Griffin. We were meeting up with a friend of his who's from Newcastle.
Oh, right.
And he had a bunch of other friends from Newcastle and a guy that was Scottish. And we went to this pub and then to a techno party. I don't know. And
It's an acquired taste, that, so.
yeah, it kind of is. We were talking to him and I could understand some of the stuff that he was saying, not all of it perfectly. But the dude that was Scottish, I could not understand a single thing he was saying. Like, I swear to God, it was like ridiculous because there was a moment there when he asked me, how did you guys meet? And I did not get that at all.
What did you think
and
he said?
Because they were like smoking and we went out to smoke. I don't smoke, but like they were all smoking and they kind of like offered us cigarettes and stuff. And I just kind of assumed that he was offering me his cigarette because he just like went like this with the gesture and I was like, no, I'm good.
I thought you were gonna say, oh yeah, okay, why not? And he's like, I just asked you like where you were from, mate. Like,
yeah, exactly. No, I was like, no, I'm good. And they just like started laughing and he was like, no, I was asking you where you met this guy. I was like, oh shit, yeah, okay.
Is there any like slang that you've picked up like since you've been here? Because obviously me being here almost my entire life, I suppose I don't necessarily notice. Even things like I have a friend from Iran and I said something like, we're doing fuck all today. And she was like, fuck all? What the hell does that mean? I said, oh, it means nothing.
Yeah.
But if you don't think about it like that, literally doesn't mean nothing. It just means, well, fuck all. I don't know.
Yeah.
So things like that.
I mean, there's the classic that I love, in it. I love it. I love in it.
In it.
In it.
Do you know how to use it in a sentence?
It's like, yo Neymar, sunny in it.
What did you say?
Have you ever seen this meme? There's this guy, Rashford, he plays for Man U, talking to Neymar, the Brazilian player, before a game.
Yeah.
But he didn't have anything to talk about, so he was like, they were just like chit-chatting, and he was like, yo Neymar, sunny in it. It's like talking about the weather.
Oh, like, that is how you use it. That is fair enough.
There are a few others that I think are really funny, like crikey, or blimey.
You know, blimey is like blind me, but it's just...
Really?
Yeah, my mum told me off for saying it once when I was younger because she was like, you don't say blimey because it means like blind me.
Oh, blimey, Harry.
Blimey, Harry. I imagine that, I mean, I've been to Rio before. I used to live in Argentina and then we just kind of like spent 4 days in Rio. I haven't seen São Paulo.
Yeah.
Are there any similarities between here, New York, there, or any differences?
There definitely are. Both. Yeah. They're all like massive cities.
Yeah.
São Paulo is maybe the biggest financial center in Brazil. And I used to live in a part of the city where I didn't have a lot of public transportation just because like it was in the city, but it felt more like the suburbs kind of.
Like Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
If you know what that is. No.
I'm just pretending that I know.
Yeah,
Let's
no. Just like the outskirts of London, but like Watford.
Right.
You ever heard of Watford?
I have heard of Watford.
That's what it is.
Right. I had to drive everywhere basically, which can be a pain in the ass, especially in São Paulo because the traffic is crazy. But I think depending on where you go in the city, you will see places that you'll be like, oh, this kind of looks like that place in New York or in Manhattan. And then with London, I think it's just the way that people are always kind of in a hurry and like working and doing stuff, you know. It's similar in that way. And like they're all very international cities.
Okay.
London, you have like the river in the middle of the city.
The Thames. The Thames.
Exactly. Whereas New York, it's kind of separate because you have the different boroughs and stuff. So you got Manhattan and that's like its own thing and it's an island. And then you have like Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx and Staten Island and like they're all kind of different in their own ways.
Yeah.
So it's like, depending on where you live, you don't really go to other boroughs. So like if you...
Really?
Just because like it takes so much time.
Oh.
You know?
Right. There's no public transport between...
There is.
Oh.
But it's like, for example, like I went to NYU.
Yeah.
If you go to NYU, you usually live either in downtown Manhattan or like Brooklyn.
Brooklyn also sounds cool. I've heard it's like the Hackney of, or the East London of New York.
It kind of is. There are different like parts of Brooklyn that I think are similar to certain parts of East London and South too. And that's like usually where you just hang out. But if you go to like Columbia which is Upper Manhattan.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's like Upper West Side or like even
I just know that from like Gossip
farther
Girl.
up.
Upper East Side? Upper West Side? Gossip Girl? I don't
Upper
know.
East Side.
That's
yeah.
the one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. That's it.
And like it's the same thing with artists at this point. I feel like most of the art scene in New York is now in Brooklyn.
Right, yeah.
So there are a lot of people that live in Bushwick, which is like deeper into Brooklyn, and it's a really cool area. But like rent is starting to raise, so like
Yeah.
it's getting more expensive.
Because I've only seen New York within
Yeah.
the confines of TV
TV,
and film, so I have
right.
no idea. Central Park, that's it.
Yeah, which I will say is probably the best park in New York, even though
Oh,
it's
not the world,
cliche.
just New York. Isn't it the only park in New York? Is that
No,
wrong?
there are so many parks in New York.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a myth.
It's because like that's the only park that people won't like talk about. So
I did not know that.
yeah, I mean, if you go to Brooklyn, there are so many parks in Brooklyn. There's this park that I really like called Prospect Park.
Prospects Park.
Yeah, it's a very big park. It's really cool and beautiful.
Sounds a bit like, like LinkedIn, like where you go as sounds a bit like worky, like people in suits go there. I don't know.
Also, one of my favorites is Washington Square Park, which is close to the NYU area, and I used to just hang out there all the time. It's a crazy spot because there are different like alternate universes. It's like so much stuff happening at the same time, and like you go to a corner of the park and it's like the skater boys, and then you go to a different corner and it's like potheads, and then you go to a different corner and it's like people playing guitar and
Like cliques, but in the park. Cliques in the park. Yeah, again, I'm thinking of a film. I'm thinking of Mean Girls. Like all the different cliques in the... I
Right.
watch a lot of films. A lot of early 2000s cult classics. I don't know.
yeah, early 2000s, one of the best eras ever.
So you've been here a year, you said.
Been here a year.
You're pretty new.
Yeah, fresh meat.
Fresh meat. That is an interesting way to describe it. We get a lot of clout, the British people, the people that live in this little island, get a lot of clout for our terrible cuisine.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
What do you? Because you came from like New York and then also Brazil. When I ate meat, I remember the meat was really good in Brazil.
That's one of the things that I miss the most about Brazil, I think. It's the food.
The food.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm a big rice and beans guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have this traditional dish called feijoada.
Feijoada.
I don't know if you ever heard of it or if you had it when you were in Brazil.
No. I was only there for a few days. I can't remember much of it. But
Yeah. Why is that? Too much drinking, maybe?
Too much of too much, basically,
Yeah.
is a phrase I just made up now.
Okay.
I do remember the people were lovely. It was just a good time. The
They're
Sugarloaf
very
Mountain,
warm people.
that was a nice place to go.
Where?
The Sugarloaf Mountain? I don't know how...
Oh, yeah.
Something to
I know what
açúcar?
you're talking about. Pão de açúcar.
That's it.
Yeah,
Say
yeah.
that again.
Pão de açúcar.
Cool. Someone did tell me I can pronounce Brazil in a Brazilian accent.
Want to give it a try?
Brazil.
Brazil, there you go.
I don't know why I did this though. I don't know if that's... You did that too.
I
That's like a
kind of
thing.
did.
Brazil.
Brazil. I'm half Italian though, so.
Oh, is that why? Is
But,
that why I did it? Half Italian. The better half?
What do you mean by the better?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I
I
don't
don't know. I'm
know.
not sure. South of Italy.
South.
Yeah. South.
Nice.
Yeah. On my mom's side, my grandpa was from Salerno, and my grandma on my dad's side is from Polignano. You ever been in Italy at all?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
The last place I went to, not a lot of even Italians know what it is. It was called Pestum. Yeah, exactly. It's on the Amalfi Coast. We went to a wedding.
Amalfi Coast.
Yeah, you know that? It's like a little place within that area. I was there for about a week for a wedding. I've been to Venice. I've been to Rome. Very hot in August, my God.
Yeah.
The Vatican counts as a different place. Where else? Milan, but just the inside of the airport. So does that count? I don't really know.
So you can add it to the list.
Add it to my list.
Yeah.
Oh, Bologna. We went to Bologna.
Nice.
Because we missed our flight to Rome. So we had to get a flight to Bologna. And it was
Gotcha.
actually really lovely there. I don't know if you've been...
Not to Bologna, no. Did you like Venice?
Not as much as Bologna.
Oh.
I think, Venice is really beautiful, but it was just, again, I think because it was so hot, it was just a bit stifling. And like we were kids and teenagers and we were like arguing the whole time, so I remember that about it. Nothing much else. Did you go? Have you been?
I've been to Milan, Rome, Salerno, Polignano.
Oh, and I went to Naples, but just for an
Naples.
hour, like on the way to the airport.
Nice.
That's the closest airport to
Right.
like the Amalfi Coast area, I guess.
Yeah, I've never been to Naples. I do want to go at some point because it seems like a cool place with a lot of culture and great food.
I was supposed to go with a friend, and then he
Yeah.
got ill and decided that I shouldn't tag along with him.
Oh, no.
So I ended up going on my own the next day.
Yeah.
It's a bit much if you've been somewhere that's quite secluded and then all of a sudden you go to like a city and there are things everywhere.
Yeah.
That's funny because obviously coming from London, you've always got a fast-paced environment around you, really. But even if you've spent a few days in the quiet, it's still quite stifling when you come back.
You should try to go to Polignano because it's really
Polignano.
beautiful.
Polignano.
Yeah. It's like rocks, not like sand, but it's a really nice beach.
It's not like sand, but it's nice anyway.
Yeah.
Have you been to Brighton? That's quite a music scene kind of place.
I have been to Brighton. Actually, it was cool. We spent a day there. Went to a few bars, went to the beach, and honestly, not that bad.
Were
Because
you thinking it wasn't going to be good? And you were
No,
just
because
like,
I heard that it's like not a great beach, but
Yeah. The pebbly beach is a thing
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
have everywhere. Aside
Right.
from Kent, if you've been to like Broadstairs or Margate, I think they have sandy beaches. And Cornwall, they have sandy beaches.
I've been to Cornwall as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
In this whole year, you've been to all of these
Yes.
places.
Yeah,
Going around, aren't you?
it's what you should do.
Do you get sort of music influences from like traveling around?
I try to. There's a band that I really like that are based in Cornwall. There was a really cool record store in Brighton that I really liked.
A record store. Yeah, they've got a few
Yeah.
of those.
I think it's
Yes.
called Resident Records.
Because I've been to Brighton a few times.
Yeah,
I've probably gone past it.
right.
Is it like on quite a main road?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
is it the lanes or North Lanes?
Most of the main streets in Brighton city centre are lanes of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's just how they decided to do it.
We ended the night at Green Door Store.
Is that a music shop as well?
It's kind of like a bar, music venue type of place.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like funny because there were a lot of uni students there, so it was pretty interesting to
Did you feel
see
old?
what
Is
they
that-
I did feel a little old.
You felt a bit old.
A
Yeah.
bit. We're not that old, come on. But it's just like being 27 and hanging out with a bunch of like early 20-year-olds.
You don't feel the difference between like the things they say and the things.
A little bit, because it's also like the way that they interact with each other, like in little groups and stuff. We had kind of like a conversation about how different it is, that sort of culture here and in the US and in São Paulo, you know. I feel like there are very specific cultural differences, but in general, it's like you look at these people and it's kind of like the same everywhere.
Yes, they don't lack 20-year-olds in other areas, I guess.
They don't.
I don't think so. Although when I was in Argentina, I was in the middle of nowhere. And so all of the students were like at uni in the city.
Right.
So it was me being 21 at the time.
Yeah.
And a bunch of 16-year-olds. So that was like school kids and me, and then all of the uni people were like not there.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a big difference.
When you're in your 20s, like if you're 28 and you're talking to someone who's like 23, like it's not that different.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the person. Like if they
That's true.
I suppose if they've travelled as much as you and they have a similar kind of outlook on life, you might get on.
Yeah,
If you can both hold your drink.
true.
Yes. I always end up talking about drinks because I guess I'm an alcoholic. I don't know. Or, you know, I just haven't had one today. I haven't had coffee either. My God.
I've had both, so
Good for you. Want to balance out the others.
exactly.
If we like bought 2 flight tickets somewhere, out of all the places you've mentioned,
Yeah.
if you wanted to show me
Okay, I'll give you 2 answers.
2.
I would definitely take you to New York.
Yes, please.
Because
Thank you.
I love it there.
Can we actually go? Thanks.
I hope so. Honestly, I miss it. Yeah, especially like Brooklyn. I do miss Brooklyn a lot. But with that said, I would also take you to the northeast of Brazil because there are some really beautiful places over there. Amazing beaches, culturally very rich, great food,
Yeah.
amazing weather, very warm people, welcoming people. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun, especially if you go during Carnival, so like around February, March.
When the weather's crap here, basically. Good time to go.
Exactly.
Sounds
So-
great. Sounds amazing. And yes, I will go. Be expensive, but I'll go. So yeah, this has been Sam and
Felipe,
the musician who came to London with a dream.
the dream.
The dream. It was nice speaking to you today.
Amazing speaking to you too. Thank you for interviewing me.
You're welcome, and have a good day, everyone. Bye.